Hi, Monica.
Hi, Sandy. Thanks
How are
again
you?
for having me. This is great.
Amazing. Happy to do these again. So we'll get right into it. Let's talk about the market. What's going on in the market? Like what are you seeing right now in terms of what's happening in the marketplace?
So I feel like the conversation surrounding rates is starting to diminish a little bit. I feel like it's been more of an uptick from past clients who have been trying to get back into the market. So this is like clients from 2 years ago where we were, the rates were 5%. They've kind of reached back out to determine where they're at again in their pre-approval. A lot has changed for the positive. So
Yeah.
we are seeing a lot of our past clients come back, and their pre-approvals have been, completed, and we're finding that they're starting to get back into the market. Specifically in the condo area. And I'm sure and you can talk about this, like the supply with condos is, of course, it's not news to anybody. One bedrooms, from my understanding, there's an oversupply of. So, in my opinion, for those buyers who've been kind of sitting on the sidelines, it's go time. How are you finding it?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I've seen the same thing with a lot of the buyers, even the conversations. I talk to a lot of people every day, and the conversations that I'm having are much less of we're going to wait and see what happens. A lot of people are jumping back in. The buyers, the same as you, the buyers that we had that were kind of just waiting, they're now out looking at houses. So we are seeing an uptick as well. And I think it's really, it's still a really price sensitive market, and the inventory is really good. So I think right now we really have kind of the best of both worlds, right? Like we either had low rates and high prices, or high prices and low rates. Well, now we have both, right? We have the low prices and the low rates. So I think that the buyer confidence is really starting to come back, and it's making a big difference. I think it's only a matter of time before it kind of turns around. But you're right, the condo market is, there's a lot of opportunity in the condo market, and it's only a matter of time before people start jumping back into that market.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. The rates. Okay, I originally said it's not really a topic of conversation anymore. I think the media has exhausted it and beat it like a dead horse. Yes, rates are, going to be on the forefront of people's minds because, of course, what you pay for your mortgage is very important. That's a huge expense. With that said, on our side of things, we're seeing that the rates are normalized. Fixed rates are
Yeah.
normalized. We are where we need to be. And it's unlikely that we're going to go any lower or drastically lower now on the fixed rates. And yeah, we may see a little bit of movement with the prime still, but I really don't think that rates should be a big focus. And of course, we have the noise about, other things that are happening. I don't even want to talk about that. But again,
Hmm.
I think the big thing is like we've been through a lot already as individuals, as first-time homebuyers, as people already in the market. We've been through a pandemic. We've been through the craze of high prices. We've been through the craze of high interest rates. So we've been through it. The market is resilient. I think now is just a matter of time of getting things updated. So what I can tell you on our end is those first time home buyers that we've been seeing, we have the conversation of, okay, let's update your documents, get us everything that we need. And you'd be surprised. A lot of people don't know that there have been some positive changes for first time home buyers, or even just, again, people trying to get into the market and what I mean by that is if one of the things as a first time home buyer, you can now increase your amortization from 25 to 30 years. Now, do you know that in general, that's like 30K more in purchase price that
Yeah.
people are seeing on their pre-approvals. Now, again, that's also 2 years ago, the 5% rates. Now we're in the mid threes. That's also a huge difference. So now you have a lower interest rate, a higher amortization that really can get you to, maybe from a one bed to 1+1. Or if you're looking on the outside of GTA, that can probably help you get you, a detached.
For so Monica, what I'm hearing you saying is for first time buyers, with the rates coming down and with the 30-year amortization, then like their buying power is a lot more than it was a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a few factors here that are going to work positively for those who maybe were a little bit discouraged 2 years ago. So you have the increase of the 25 to 30-year amortization, which increases the buying power. And as I mentioned, it could be up to an additional 30,000, which is huge. Then you have the increase of how much the first time home buyers can withdraw from their RSPs from 35 to 60, which again, that's a big chunk of money that you can now take out to put towards your down payment, which would ultimately help you increase what your purchasing power is as well. And then you do have first time home buyers can purchase with the less than 20% down for now a purchase price of up to 1.5. So there's a lot of positive factors here, right? And I think it's just a matter of the new conversation of, hey, this is where you were at before. Now here's where you're at now, because there are so many different factors that can really positively, push those buyers, to purchase something new.
Yeah, that's actually incredible because I think there were a lot of people who felt like they were priced out of the market, right? And now a lot of those people who thought they were priced out of the market can now get back into the market. In fact, we have a mutual client that we're working with right now who we've been working together for I think almost 3 years now. And originally she was priced out of the market. She decided to save more money. And then the conversation at the beginning, the conversation was, well, why don't we let's possibly buy something out of town that you're not going to live in as an investment property to at least to get your foot in the door and then maybe sell it in a few years and then you can jump into the market here. And then her there was a lot of things that were going on, but she was basically priced out of the market and now she's out looking at properties today. And
Amazing.
so things haven't changed drastically for her, except
No.
that in this time frame she didn't get discouraged. She kept saving money. She kept just, plugging away at doing all the right things. And now she's back out looking at properties. So I think this is a really good opportunity for those people who thought they were priced out of the market.
Absolutely. I think that is such a good story for us to share because yeah, it's been quite a long time. And she just decided to, bite the bullet and be like, hey, let me see what we can do here. And I think specifically for her, yes, there was a little bit of more savings with the down payment, which really did help her. But also I think the biggest part was that increase of amortization and the lower rate
Yeah,
combined. That increase from her last pre-approval, both of those, and a little bit of a higher down payment, $50,000. That's
crazy.
huge.
Yeah,
And she
yeah,
wasn't even expecting that either.
I
She was
know.
pleasantly surprised. And that's what I mean. It's just a matter about having the conversation, right? I mean, realistically, you've already kind of seen what you can qualify for 2 years ago. If it's the same, it's the same, right? But you're not going to know until just have that conversation again. And it's so easy to update the pre-approval. It really is.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. It's such great news. I love that because I love, I think real estate's such a great investment. That's how I was able to, accomplish a lot of things. And so I think it's important that if people want to buy a house, I think they should be able to buy a house in some way, shape, or form. So I'm really encouraged that these things are happening and there's a lot more opportunity. So yeah, and rates I think I think you're right about rates. I don't think they're moving one way or the other drastically. I think they are going to come down a little bit, maybe in the next couple of rate announcements, but they're not going to change drastically. So anyone who's waiting, for 2% interest rates, like those days, I believe are gone.
Those
They're
days
not
are
coming
gone.
back. So, and things are
I
changing really, really fast. I think we spoke with my team like earlier this year and said, we feel like we're back in 2020 when COVID first hit and we just didn't know what was going to happen. But things have changed drastically in the last even few weeks with the election being over and things starting to calm down. So that's the way this market is. So anyone who's waiting for the bottom, the problem with waiting for the bottom is that it's the same as waiting for the top. By the time it hits either or, you'll never know because it has to start going the other way before you can tell, right? So once it hits the bottom, you don't know it's the bottom. You have to at some point say, okay, maybe this is the bottom, but you're not going to know it's the bottom until it starts going back up again. And I feel like we're going to hit that really soon. So the
Yeah.
biggest thing should be the conversation of, what can I afford? Is it the right time for me to move based on what's going on in my life right now? Not trying to time the market. That's a really hard thing to do. Just what's going on in my life right now? Does my housing suit my needs? If it doesn't, and if you've got the opportunity to possibly jump in at this point, I would highly encourage at least looking, at least having conversations. And
Yeah.
that's where then you decide what to do, what your next step is. Sometimes that decision is, I'm gonna stay where I am, and that's okay. That's what we're here for, to help you, give you all the information, educate you, and then let you make the best decision with the information that you have.
Absolutely. I mean, I think us as consumers in general, we just have to start learning how to ignore the noise. I think that, we get so hyper focused on what's happening around us that we don't actually look at what's in front of us. And I do think that synergy in the real estate market is important. Just having the right people around you, having the right conversations with you, that is going to really just change the dynamic of, you know, perception of real estate, perception of mortgages, right? It's
Yeah.
super important.
Yeah. I'm just laughing because just off, no one will have seen this, but my whole setup kind of crashed. And what did I say? I said, I don't know anything about, I'm not a tech person. I don't know anything. So I don't order online. I go into a store and I say, hey, what's a good, stand for me to buy that's not going to break. And now I've gone through like six of them because they all break. Give me one that doesn't break. That's what I'm asking for. And I think that's what you're talking about, is when
Yeah.
you have the right people, when the right people are behind you and guiding you and giving you the best advice that we can, then that's where you make the right decisions. And later down, when the dust settles, you're going to be happy with what's happened. So I think
Yeah.
that's my analogy for today.
Totally. You can't control life. You can't control your tech crashing and burning. You just can't. I think we really should show a little blooper of that because it was pretty funny.
It was. Anyway, okay. So this is a perfect segue. We're talking about first time buyers, we're talking about interest rates, and let's talk about our upcoming event on May 21st.
So we are hosting a first-time homebuyers seminar. So if you have been on the sidelines, or you are that person who, got pre-approved 2 years ago and was maybe a little bit discouraged, this is the time to come out and really learn about the changes in the market, the changes in the mortgage rules, and how can that impact you positively.
Yeah, absolutely. So this first time buyer seminar will be May 21st at 6 p.m. We'll put details in our bio in the links here, and the location, which is in Etobicoke, 427 in Dundas, in the community room at the Loblaws upstairs. That's where we're going to be holding it. We're going to have we'll have some exciting announcements as well before that date about, giveaways and different things like that are coming up. So join us. If you have any questions, obviously, like, please follow us here on social media. And if you have any questions at all, reach out. We're happy to help, give you the details about where to register for this. We'll put more on social media about where you can register. And we'll, like, really looking forward. We do have limited seating there. It's not a big room. We do have limited seating, so you do have to register. So I don't want anyone to show up that night and we don't have any more seats for anybody. So make sure you register for it. And there will be some other announcements coming out about, giveaways and other stuff that we're doing that night. So I think it'll be really informative. Well, I know it'll be really informative for everybody. And you'll learn a lot about, how to take that, whatever it is, how to take that first step. Even if you're not sure, let's get you started down that path of what questions to ask. What should you know? What should you be doing right now if you want to buy now, or if you want to buy in 6 months, or you want to buy a year from now? Whatever that is, we're happy to go through all of that.
Yeah, we're so excited to just have the conversation. I think that's what we need to do, is just talk. Just talk about where you're at, talk about where the market's at, talk about where mortgages are at. Have a very, friendly conversation surrounding it because it shouldn't be scary and it shouldn't be hard. And if you have the right team, then I promise you it will be such a good experience for you.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks, Monica. And we'll chat again next month. We'll be on before that, but next month again about the market. So we'll do this we'll be doing this on a monthly basis. So make sure you follow us here and you can get updates each month as well. So looking
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you at on May 21st. It'll be
Looking
fun.
forward to it. Thanks,
Awesome.
Jen.
Thanks, Monica.
Okay, thank you.